Hello again. A couple of hours ago we looked at two views of race which are probably incorrect. Let's look now at one which might be more accurate. I'm advancing this as an hypothesis, not putting it forward as dogma. This is by way of being a theory, which means that it should be possible to make predictions using it and also to disprove it. Here is the position of different ethnic groups as seen by racists, that black people, white people and those of East Asian origin are entirely separate. Yeah. Of course they're not, but what if there were some fairly slight differences between them, purely in statistical terms? Before going any further, let me emphasise I am well aware that racist police officers sometimes wrongfully arrest or beat up innocent black people. That has nothing to do with this, any more than does the fact that sometimes white psychiatrists might misdiagnose black people as having psychoses when it's not the case. Every time that IQ tests are administered to large populations containing different and varying ethnicities, it is found that there are differences between the high scores and low scores achieved by black people, Hispanics, Chinese and white people of European or American origin. Various explanations have been put forward, but the fact is that these differences remain. Looking now at this chart of mine, let us just assume for the moment that there is something in this idea and see where it might lead us. Just as a rough figure, I'm going to say that 5% of the black population have exceptionally high IQs. That is to say that they're probably more intelligent than me, much more intelligent. Okay, let's say 10% of the white people have extremely high IQs and 15% of the Chinese people. And very roughly, this is how it comes out during IQ tests across different ethnicities. Yeah. So those percentages are for those that are very, very intelligent, the highest IQs. Now, this only affects very clever types. All the rest of us, all ethnicities, are people like me, average intelligence, with a few exceptions, which we will come to. If this was really to be the case, then we might make one or two predictions based upon what we see here. I might assume, for instance, that since you need to do very well academically and have a high IQ to get into Oxford University, then we will see fewer black people at Oxford than we will Chinese. Well, that's certainly the case. I might also guess, since there will be roughly 3 times as many very clever Chinese people, or people with Chinese heritage, with very high intelligence, and there are black people with the same cognitive abilities, that the East Asians will do better in examinations at school, especially the higher ones, like A-levels. Lo and behold, we find that 12% of black students get 3 grade A's at A-level, that's the top marks that get you into Oxford or Cambridge, and 37% of Chinese students get those vital 3 grade A's at A-level. In short, the Chinese do 3 times as well at A-levels as black people. Spookily accurate. I give link to this, the A-level results in the description to this video. Do you see that this is actually a scientific hypothesis and that we can test it in various ways by seeing if we can use it for predictions? This isn't a feeling of mine, I'm not guessing, I'm putting together an hypothesis based upon the evidence that has been gathered through intelligence tests and so on. There is and always has been concern about black underachievement at school in both Britain and the United States. If there are more Chinese students with higher IQs, then perhaps there will be fewer with very low IQs. With black people, it might be the reverse. Let's try marking that in on this graph again, this does accord with what has been found when large-scale IQ tests are conducted. We'll give the whites as a standard 10% in the very lowest area of IQs, and now we'll give 15% of the very lowest IQs to the black people. These are statistical things. They don't affect most black people at all. Most black people are completely average, like most white people and most Chinese people. Right, I would expect to find fewer children of East Asian origin in remedial classes or being diagnosed with having learning difficulties. That is precisely what happens in Britain and America. I would also think that more black children than average would be found in this category. That is also so in Britain and America. None of this proves that this theory is correct, of course. What it does show is that it is possible to construct theories of this sort around ethnicity which enable us to make predictions and test them. This is a scientific method, of course, and as such is anathema to those who adhere to the idea of critical race theory. They do not accept the ideas of the Enlightenment and prefer to rely upon lived experience and personal testimony. This makes it hard to find common ground because they regard analysis and speculation of the kind in which I have been engaging in this video as being objectionable in itself.